Welcome and study with Tanzania Institute of Education.
Welcome, dear students, to our lovely subject, biology. My name is Madam Consolata Blas. Today we are going to learn about evolution. We are going to learn about evolution. Now, let me first define to you the word evolution. Evolution is the gradual development of an organism from simple form to more complex form over a long duration of time. The changes which accompanied with the development of the organism from the simple form to more complex form. But this takes a duration of time. That is evolution. Let me write to you. Is the gradual development of an organism from simple form to more complex form over long duration of time. One may ask, why long duration of time? Long duration of time because it involves the step-by-step process of selecting the superior organisms from a given population and give the time for those superior organisms to reproduce, and after reproduction we will get a new generation, a new species. Now from that point one may define evolution by basing on these two terminologies: the gradual development, which involves the selection of superior organisms. Then after selection, allow those superior organisms to reproduce. After reproduction, they will give a new generation. They will give us a new generation. And this new generation is the one which now has evolved from simple form into complex form. And from that point one may say, now I have defined the term evolution. But let us have another example. The example which we're going to elaborate and make us clear understanding about the term evolution. Taking an example, the evolution of long-necked giraffe. The population of the today's giraffe explained by previous knowledge that it was previously short-necked giraffe all over the world. Means all today's giraffe were previously short-necked giraffe. They had short neck, but due to scarcity of food, some changes made, and those changes brought us to the today's giraffe. Now, let me tell you how the evolution of these giraffes occurred. First, one may have a population of giraffe. Population of giraffes. The population of giraffes include the group of long-necked giraffe, also intermediate necked giraffe, and short necked giraffe. This type of population express or give us the notion that there is a variation in a population. Now, from this point, what is a variation? I'm sure you all know the definition of the term variation as per genetics concept of view. What is variation? Variation is the term which is used to explain how organisms of the same species tend to differ. Organisms of the same species in a given population differs. Some of them may have long neck, others may have intermediate neck, and the other group may have a short neck. Now, having the group of all giraffes but different shapes of necks, this is a variation. Now, the presence of variation in a given population makes those organisms either to be best adapter to the environment or poor adapter to the given environment. Let me draw for you the types of necks of those giraffe. This is long-necked giraffe. Another is long-necked giraffe. Another one, the short-necked giraffe. The intermediate one. All these organisms had a single vegetation. They feed on the same forest. The forest comprises different types of trees. We have long trees, short trees, we have some shrubs around the forest, we have other long trees, we have some intermediate trees, but all these giraffes were fed on this group of vegetation. But more interested group of vegetation was the shrubs, because it is easy for them to get the food from the shrubs because they were also short. Now, at first, all giraffes were subjected to the short shrubs. Now they ate the short shrubs for a time and develop a scarcity, develop the shrubs into little number. The shrubs developed them into little number. Therefore, the number of shrubs were little compared to the number of organisms which fed on. And this created the so-called competition. Competition was brought about the scarcity of shrubs in the vegetation. Due to this scarcity and this competition, the short-necked giraffe were the ones who suffered a lot because they failed to get the intermediate trees. They failed to get leaves from the longer trees. Therefore, they perished because of lack of food. The long-necked giraffe passed away. The generation of short-necked giraffe passed away and leave the forest with only two types of giraffe, the ones with the long neck and the intermediate neck. The short-necked giraffe perished away. Now, this created another competition, the competition between the intermediate neck giraffe and the long-necked giraffe. This competition led into selecting the best adapters. You know what? The best adapters here were the long-necked giraffe, because the long-necked giraffe were able to feed on tall trees. At the same time, they were able to feed on intermediate trees. Through this, the intermediate-necked giraffe also passed away and leave the vegetation with only long-necked giraffe. Now, these long-necked giraffe, being themselves in the forest, it means the environment has selected them. The environment gave them a chance to survive, and they were also allowed to reproduce freely. The reproduction led them into increase in number, and the increase in number of these long-necked giraffe made them to be successor in the environment. And from that point, the population of long-necked giraffe is the one which is obviously seen today in our zoo, in our national park. We normally see only long-necked giraffe, and those with the short neck, intermediate neck are no longer seen. Is it clear to you now? That is how organism may evolve from simple form to more complex form. I hope now everyone is familiar with the definition of evolution, and everyone can try to explain how organisms may evolve from simple form to more complex form. Is it clear? Can I give you a question? Take your pen, write this. How can you explain the antibiotic resistance of some bacteria which are pathogens, the pathogenic bacteria? How can you explain the antibiotic resistance to some pathogenic bacteria? Clear? How can you explain the antibiotic resistance to some pathogenic bacteria? Based on this example, you may explain, you may try to explain how evolution occurs. Okay, let me proceed with another part of evolution. This part explains how early evolutionary theories occur, early evolution theories. Early evolutionary theories. An important early theory states that living organisms evolved from lower to higher. Early evolutionary theories explain that living things evolved from lower organisms to higher organisms. And this definition is still applicable till today. That is why I said it is from simple to more complex. And they said it was from lower to higher. So the issue here is the changes from the primitive one to more advanced one. So we have this definition from an earliest biologist called Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, a French biologist. He suggested that living things evolved by inherent acquired characteristics. Living things has evolved by inherent acquired characteristics. What was this means? By this, he meant that young species inherit certain physical characteristics from their parents, and those parents acquired those characteristics in the course of their daily lives. In the time this would produce organisms of different forms, the generation of new species. In this time, this would produce organisms from different organisms. According to Lamarck, giraffe acquired their long-necked in the way that they were previously short-necked giraffe, and he believed that a constant striving and stretching of their neck in order to reach the longer trees, in order to reach the leaves from the higher trees, which was the advantageous characteristics to only giraffe with the long neck, and very disadvantageous to those organisms with the short neck. From this point, Lamarck believed that there were only two types of giraffe. There were only short-necked giraffe, and these short-necked giraffe used to eat the shrubs. After all shrubs be finished, all giraffes decided to stretch their necks, and the stretching of those necks aimed to reach the higher leaves from the tallest trees. Therefore, the giraffe struggle themselves to raise up their neck so that they can reach the tallest trees. And the ones who succeeded to stretch their necks so that they can reach the higher leaves are the ones who survived. And the ones who succeeded are those who only stretched their necks. But for those who failed to stretch their necks, they died. They passed away. From that point, Lamarck explained that younger organisms tend to inherit some characteristics from their parents. Those physical characteristics from their parents were developed from their daily-to-daily exercising of stretching their necks. Now, can you judge this statement of Lamarck that evolution is brought about the physical activities which will make the organism to change the physical structure, and those changes of physical structures, which are the ones which are acquired from the environment, were the ones who were also inherited to their offspring, to their young ones. And after those young ones inherit those acquired characteristics, they were also able to pass those characteristics to their young ones again, and from that point, the new generation was formed. Now, it's you to judge and tell me, is it true that the continuation of stretching the necks of these short-necked giraffe into tallest and long neck was also inherited to their offspring, and those offspring passed the same trait to their young ones, and from that point, the new generation was formed? Now it's you to discuss, it's you to tell me. And this man said that if you will not use a certain part of your body, if you will fail to stretch it, or completely not try to stretch it, the said organ will perish. Yes. If you don't use your appendix, means your appendix will perish. I'm sure you know what is the appendix. Is it true that we living organisms in the group of human beings do not possess appendix because it is no longer used in our body, therefore it has gone? The answer is no. We have the appendix, though it is not used. And the people who studied evolution, they term that part which is no longer used as a vestigial structure. Vestigial structure. Vestigial structure. It is there in our body, but it is not used. Lamarck said if it is not used, the part will perish away. The use and disuse theory. Lamarck is said to be a father of use and disuse theory. If you will use the body part will extend, and the extension of that body make the organism best adapter, and the best adapter who has acquired the characteristics from the environment, they will pass that trait to their offspring, and those offspring will produce the organisms of their own kind with the adapted characteristics from the parents which were also acquired from the environment. And the disuse of the certain body part will make the part to be perished. This make doubt to the ears of the today's biologists. But when you connect the theory with our daily life, the first assumption of this Lamarck of acquired characteristics, it is somehow applicable because it is true to a limited extent. If one train with weight, the weight lifters, you know John Cena, he is masculinity because he has trained his body. Now, if one can develop the massive muscles, yes, through exercise one can develop it. But the second assumption, that they developed the muscles from a skin man who was previously not masculinity, and after training through weightlifting, and this change his body structure into masculinity man, is expected to have a bigger children because he was physically masculinity. This is not true. The development of muscles is acquired characteristic, has nothing to do with the changes of the DNA. If has nothing to do with the changes in the DNA, cannot be inherited. One cannot inherit the characteristics which has nothing to do with the DNA changes. Therefore, Lamarck, if he was alive today, he should explain to us how acquired characteristic can be inherited. And the last assumption, the disuse of some organs in our body, make them to perish. Also, the idea was not clearly elaborated because it is not true that the use and disuse may lead some body parts to perish away, to be discarded away, to be removed from the body. The parts may remain there till the end of our life, but remain as a vestigial structure, not perish away. I'm sure it is clear to you all. I want to leave you with this question. Is Lamarck theory enough to explain to us about evolution of living things? Is Lamarck theory enough to explain to us about the evolution of living things? Try your best to answer these questions. I gave you the first question, and this is the second question. I leave you till next time. Bye.